the hell are you guys doing?
I'm doing better than a lot of other comics out here, but it's all right. No, I don't know. It's weird. It's honestly, I didn't think this would last past like March.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like, now it's kind of like me adjusting to the new normal
Yeah.
instead of like doing it earlier in the year. I'm just doing it like now, where I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, well, this is my life now, right? Stand up is basically dead for the year, and
Hmm.
then I just have to like find ways to be creative and productive.
Right. But you're just getting to that now in June because you've been just
Well, no,
denying
I
it
was
this
always
whole
I was
time.
doing it. I was doing it, but I was doing it with the mindset of like everything's gonna be back in like April, May. So
Right.
let me get this podcast ready. Let me start writing some pilots. Let me start doing all this
Right.
other stuff. So when they come back, I'm like, all right, cool. I have these three things. Fuck with me. But now it's like, well, no one's gonna fuck with me till like next year, February. So who knows?
If
Who knows
then.
what's gonna happen?
I know. It's very distressing. Where's your gold glasses, Niles?
Where are my gold glasses?
The ones from your photo on Twitter yesterday.
Oh, they're over there.
You
You
got,
want me to put them on? You
you
need the
got,
full effect?
listen, listen, now
no.
you can't wear the chain and not wear the glasses.
Yeah.
All right, let me get them.
You
1
gotta
second.
you gotta have the
Oh
full
wait,
the full
listen now.
effect.
Honestly, God, do the whole thing in the glasses. I couldn't. I don't know if she's okay with it. I'm doing it like I'm in charge here. My
Yeah.
bad.
It's fine. It's fine. There's no um Niles has already been on my podcast before, the Hard Way Pod. It's like learning about your mistakes, learning things the hard way, whether or not it was your fault. Oh yeah, there you go. Except for now, these are sunglasses. I don't know why I thought they were just like regular glasses before. It's
Yeah.
distracting. Get rid of them. He's like, this bitch.
Distracting?
Well, I like to see the eyes, the real reactions, because you could be giving me some glary eyes behind there and I'd never know. But yeah,
Mhm.
so anyway,
Mhm.
yeah, we've done this, and it's usually people telling stories about learning things the hard way, but then I'd kind of put it on pause, like you were just saying, with just quarantine and everything. I just like was sort of reevaluating everything that I want to do, and um before even all the protesting started, I was just kind of like not feeling it. Every time I was doing my podcast and like telling like dumb stories from the past just kind of seemed irrelevant of like my past. I'm like, oh yeah, real cool that you took too many caffeine pills and like shit your pants at McDonald's that one time, but not really like the most cool, the important story to be discussing. So I had put it on pause, and then um I figured I'd bring it back eventually, but wasn't really sure how or why. Like I'd have something that was like worth talking about, I guess. And that's when I sort of had this idea to reach out to a lot of my Black friends and say how you're feeling, despite, like, first of all, we've already been dealing with quarantine, and then now all of a sudden we have this like big political revolution thing going on where it's like this shit has been happening forever, but now way more people are paying attention, so it seems like maybe
Yeah.
something can actually be done about it. And as somebody that was never really like a protester before, was more of like a donator and like social media and whatever, right, sign petition person, that you never really see anything come from it. It just seems like such more of a heavy situation to where it's like, no, there like has to be some shit done about it. And so I wanted to kind of pivot the podcast to just hearing your stories and hearing like what, like, kind of sharing your art and things you want to talk about in the way that um can maybe, without feeling like you're having to teach white people or like people that are ignorant like how they should act, because that's another thing that's annoying. Like, hello, tell me like how I've been racist, tell me this or that. But just even like in talking to you and sharing your stories, maybe people will understand. And it can be light or heavy or whatever. And I'd definitely be interested to know how you feel about me, even as a white person doing this to begin with. Like, if you're like, oh, that's out of line, or that's not your place, like, what do you think about that?
Well, first,
Like, I hate it.
Um,
I always enjoy the awkward silence before
Yeah.
someone has to answer a question.
Yeah.
first I'll just say like, congrats to you for having more than one black friend. A
Yeah.
lot of white people can't say that, and
Yeah.
then usually that one black friend is just the nigga they work with. They don't really know
Yeah.
him like that. So,
Yeah.
congrats to you. This is proof you have more than one.
Yeah.
So good job on that. I feel like that's the first step in the right direction. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, without like sounding like every white person that's like, oh, I have so many black friends, I can't be racist. It's like, to me, just in that privilege of like never seeing it being a big deal, like, because I grew up in Curacao, like, which is, an island in the Caribbean. And even though I didn't really learn till later that like white Dutch people took over that island from like brown indigenous people, and like that sucked for them. And for me, I just thought like this is a cool island and it's diverse, so I never really like looked at race as much. It's not, I wouldn't say like I didn't see color, I did, but it didn't, like, I wasn't scared in certain ways that like other people were if they'd never grown up around a lot of black people. Like my middle school was like, set like 60% Haitian. But then my high school, there was like one black guy because it was like a Catholic high school and it was like super white. And, just growing up, like not really having to think about issues like this, you tend to just, even if not on purpose, be totally ignorant and neglectful and just like not see the real problems until you're actually like out there protesting and hearing these fucking stories. And it's like, oh man, I'm 35 years old. How could I have been so blind and stupid this whole time, even though I do have black friends? Like, how much do they go out of their way to like make me feel comfortable that I didn't even think they needed to, like who the fuck
You
knows?
would be surprised how
you
how
really would.
much we go out of our way to make other races feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Which is,
It's a weird thing to think about too, but we really do go out of our way. Like sometimes I'll give you a small example. It's like one time I was going to like the fourth wall, like it's an open mic down the street from
yeah,
me. I was just wearing all black, right? And I literally went back in my house to just put on a different color pair of shoes so I could
yeah,
just not have on all black. Cause I was like, no, I really don't. Just mentally in my brain, I was like, I'm not trying to get shot today. I said that in jokingly fashion, but I was like, let me go put on these red shoes really quick and then I can go out in all black because I just don't want to. I just don't want any problems.
yeah,
And it's weird because I'm literally just going 5 minutes from my house, but I literally went back in my apartment.
yeah.
So it's a weird. I don't know. It's
That's
a weird
fucked
thing.
up. It's
You
like
know the red shoes isn't gonna stop you from
yeah.
getting.
Of course not. Of course not. It was really
Crazy.
I just didn't want to change the hoodie. To be honest with you, I was just like,
And I mean
maybe the red
hoodie,
shoes will.
but it's
Maybe
like
these red shoes will help me with the cops that's
but
down the street.
but that's
They
just so
won't.
fucked. It's like a hoodie can make a difference. It's like me, I can wear all black and they'll just be like, oh, she's depressed or she thinks she's goth or she's from Echo Park, Like the only thing that I could relate to that would be like going to a mic and being like, I'm gonna dress like a scrub because if I wear a nice outfit, I'm gonna get hit on. I'm gonna be asking for it,
Yeah.
and like that sort of shit. But like at the end of the day, like I'm not gonna be worried that the cops are gonna fucking shoot me because I'm wearing all black. Like that's fucking insane and not anything that I'd have to think about. Oh man. And Niles is wearing all black right now, but you're inside. So
I'll be
it's
leaving the house later. I don't give a fuck anymore.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I stopped giving a fuck at 11. So I was radicalized as a child. My
That's
mom,
different. Yeah, his parents are lawyers. That's different.
my
It's
Oh
dad,
yeah?
my dad's a lawyer. My mom's taught black literature at HBCU.
yeah,
I've known this shit since I
yeah,
was 5.
Yeah.
yeah,
So
I've had the
you're,
weight of the world in my brain for a long time.
oh my god.
yeah. I know.
I could tell that. Like, cause I like we've had conversations and I've heard your stand up about like going to like a predominantly white school
Yeah.
and like and it's just making me think now, like, because like when I think about you, I wouldn't have known that and thought like, oh, he's like very whitewashed and doesn't think about race because that's not how you act or talk. Like you definitely seem like, so a lot more, which I guess would one come with being black and experiencing it. But the whole fact that I had no idea your mom taught and your dad is a lawyer. What kind of lawyer is he?
Like just civil stuff, like get hurt on the job, that kind of thing.
Nice.
Yeah.
So wait, is he for like corporations or is he
No,
for? Oh, okay, just
He's like,
asking.
broke niggas.
that's the way to do it.
So
Yeah.
hey, if you need to slip and fall at the job, do that shit. I need a new car. So
Yeah.
Oh my God. I know people that like they don't say they did that on purpose, but I'm like my friend's mom was like, oh, like she's always been broke and all this stuff. And then all of a sudden she's like remodeling her house. It's like, well, she just slipped at Walmart and sued. And I'm like,
what?
Yeah.
I know a dude.
interesting.
I know this one dude. He messed up his ankle playing like flag football or some shit. Like he
Mhm.
fucked it up really bad. And so what he did was he sucked it up so he could go into work on Monday and fall.
Oh my God.
So he fell at work and fucked up his ankle. And he
Hey
almost
man,
he almost got away with that shit. But I think somebody like at work snitched on him.
snitched. Ah,
Oh, what a
wow,
little bitch.
wow.
Just let the
Hey,
fucking
That's pretty
company
bad.
Harriet
loose.
Tubman said it herself. She couldn't free everybody. You know?
Hey
Oh
man,
my God.
skin folk ain't kin folk.
Look, bro. We still got the Stacey Dashes and the Ben Carsons.
Yeah,
Oh, and the what's her name? Candace.
Candace Owens.
I don't even
Owens.
act like she exists. She's an idiot.
She's just like Dave Chappelle said it perfectly. She's like she can art, articulate how stupid she is.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just it's weird. It's weird because it's the misdirect of like talking as if you know what you're talking about in such a really, I mean, she taught, like, if you don't like know information, then if you listen to her you're like, oh, she's talking some really things. Yeah, racism is a myth. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And you're like, but then when you listen to her and you're just like, wait, what? What'd she say about Hitler? What are you talking about? That doesn't even make any sense.
The whole black conservative media pundit thing is just really funny to me.
Yeah.
It's very fascinating.
At the end of the like I've always wondered, like at the end of the day, when they go home, how do they really feel about themselves?
I don't
Yeah.
think
These people are getting paid good money to say this shit.
Yeah,
they're-
that's
they
what I'm
do it.
wondering. I'm wondering, like,
If
how much
there
is she
wasn't
getting
money in
paid?
doing this
Yeah.
coon shit, they would not do that
yeah,
shit.
they're getting paid. Not only are they getting paid, like, they do like 2-year $1 million deals with
No,
like Fox News.
so Stacey Dash, when Obama was running the second time,
Yeah.
Stacey Dash was on TV every day on Fox News. They were using her for all these talking points. As soon as that nigga won, they didn't use Stacey Dash anymore. They didn't need
Yeah.
her.
No, you don't
Like,
need it anymore.
you didn't get the job done. You didn't get the black
Yeah.
people to not vote for him. So
Yeah.
it's just like, it's really funny how they use these people. And right now, as we're getting closer to another election, people like Candace Owens are starting to get more popular again somehow.
Yeah.
They're on TV a lot. So it's just really, I don't know, it's just really, it's interesting to me. And my favorite game to play is I look at like all the like black comedians that are up and coming and like black media personalities, and I kind of put a bet on everybody, like who's gonna be the one to flip to the conservative shit when they
Yeah.
realize they're not that funny and this isn't gonna work out for them. Who's gonna
Hey,
put on
man.
a red hat and be on Fox News? It's a couple niggas I know that's gonna do that shit eventually.
Really?
Suck at stand up, but I can't wait to see who.
But like, what's the benefit in that? Like you said, like, how do you go home and like and
I don't know.
deal with it? Because to me, I'm like,
the chat?
but it's like,
It's
but
the-
how much is the money worth when it's like you have experienced this thing and you know that it's real and you know people are dying because
Well,
of
think
it?
of it this way. It's
But-
not like they live. It's not like they live in Los Angeles, right? A lot of these people live like in Dallas or in Houston, and they just have a green screen.
Yeah.
Right. So if you just, all you need is, if you have $100,000 a year in Houston, that's 2 years of
Yeah.
income for you, right? So if you sign a 2-year $1 million deal, that's only one thing with the news network. Then all these conferences like CPAC, like all these other like conservative movements that want you to come in as a speaker, as a keynote speaker, they pay for you, they give you like a daily per diem, they give you a hotel, they have a driver for you, and then they pay your speaking fee. So it's like they're getting paid, right?
Yeah.
They're making a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
I just almost have to hope that there's like a back end, like switcheroo that they're waiting to pull, being like, haha, I got all this conservative money, now I'm putting it here, like that. But you're like, no.
No,
I'm just like, how could you
no.
do that?
The only person that technically did that is Kanye,
Oh yeah.
and
And
technically,
rich before all that.
and he was rich before all of that, right?
Right.
And I just think he just, I mean, we all know Kanye just has a chemical imbalance. So
Well, yeah, we know there's
for
something
him,
wrong with him. And like, but he
yeah,
also is like, oh, I love Trump, like, which is like gets him a lot of attention, you know.
yeah,
But he's not out there like a Candace Owens being like, racism is a myth, you know.
yeah. No, he's not.
Because
saying-
that's
he's not
just
saying weird
that's
things
just
like
fucking
that.
crazy, you know.
Yeah.
But I totally see, like, just having dealt with just looking back at my past and like still feeling like I did a pretty good job, but still knowing that I probably fucked up plenty. Like you said, like if you're going out of your way to make me more comfortable, like that I wouldn't even think of, you know, like that's already fucked up and not something that I want to be happening. But then there's other people, like in my family even, where I'm like, they're on the right side of it and they're like, yes, this needs to happen. And then there's the others that I'm trying to talk to and being like, but how can you still feel this way when you're watching everything that's happening? Like, because their identity with trying to prove they're not racist and that white supremacy isn't a thing is so important that they're willing to take any little nugget they can. And that's like the Candace Owens. It's like, we'll see. Well, there's one black person that says it, so I must be good. Like, people don't want to admit that they fucked up.
The sole reason of hiring these people.
Yeah.
Conservative media doesn't want more black representation. They need puppets to make white people feel okay. So that way you can literally say like, oh, they said it and they're black, so what the fucking, there's nothing wrong with what I'm saying. And so, and these people, they know that. Like, I mean, I've had family say this since I was a kid. Like, I was like 7 or 8 when somebody told me this in my family. It's like, as a black person, if you say something and stand for something and a bunch of white people agree with you and think it's right, nigga, you're probably wrong. Like, that's like, you're probably wrong.
Yeah.
And I tell that people like all the time, if a bunch of white people are clapping for you and being like, yeah, that one is right, you're saying some bullshit.
Yeah, probably.
Because if you look at any point in history on race, gender, whatever, most white people are on the wrong side of it.
Yeah.
So it's just, and that's the way it's been for the longest time in America.
Yeah.
So it's just like white people, basically being a person of color in America is always being on the right side of history because it directly affects you, and praying and hoping white people eventually catch up.
Yeah.
And so that's why, like,
not even white people, just enough white people.
Yeah,
to make a change. Not even, and we're not even asking for all the white people.
Like, we don't even want all. We just want, like, it's
I just want, not even most. We just need enough white people.
30% maybe.
Yeah.
What
we
did
just
you
need
say?
enough
30?
of you.
Did you say 30%?
Yeah, if we could get like
maybe
30% of white people to be like, all right, let's do this shit.
Yeah.
Dude.
But here's the weird thing. And that someone said, I forget who posted this, but it was so poignant. He said, usually whenever black people like fight for like rights or equality, just everyone basically benefits technically.
Oh, all the time.
Right? All the time. Which was such, and it didn't click until I read that, and I was like, yeah, that makes perfect sense. If we defund the police and invest in infrastructure and education, really everybody technically benefits that initiative. But go ahead, Niles.
If you look at any kind of freedom fighting movement or anything, you know who benefits the most first, whatever it gets set in place? White women. Always. It's always white women. And so it's like one of these things where, like, it's crazy how not everybody will put their hand to the plow when there's a movement going, but everybody will gladly put their hand out and receive the benefits of what that movement accomplishes.
Yeah. Why do you say that white women get the most benefit out of it?
Oh, you can look at anything from affirmative action. You can look at anything from the suffrage movements. You can look in civil rights movements, everything. Whenever there's a push for diversity, the people at the top, their first look is hire white women, because that's the closest thing to them in the whole diversity.
Yeah. And they're like, they're still white, where it's like, I've always, incorrectly, especially given all your, all your knowledge with like your parents and schooling and everything, looked at it like it always was like men, then women, like white women, then women of color. And I'm like, no, it's still like all white people
Yeah.
And then because even though they're like, oh, technically, like, you know, and
You're a
correct me if I'm wrong.
minority.
Yeah, like, yeah, you're a minority, but it's like they're still oppressed, but not on the same level. Not on the same level to where it's like, oh my God,
Well, that's the
repeating
thing.
history over and over again. Like women
As a
still have
white
a lot of
woman, at all
struggles, but
times, as a white woman, you can always just pick whiteness at the end of the day. So it's just like, no matter how much you're oppressed, you can still be white. It's kind of this
Right.
whole thing of like, okay, I'll choose second place as long as I ain't got to be with the rest of them.
Yeah.
right.
And that's why things haven't moved forward. And we even see this in the black community with straight black men. We do the same thing with sexism, and we do the same thing with toxic masculinity. We'll choose being a man all the time and then
Right.
tell everybody else in the black community, you're black first, be black first. You never have to tell a black man you're black first or you're a man first. But we're always
Yeah.
telling black trans people this. We're always telling black women this. We're always telling black gay people this, that they're, I guess, bringing attention from what the movement is when all they want to do is, hey, I want my identity respected. And
Right.
so that's even a problem in our community with straight black men. Is just like thinking we always have to be centered in these movements and these and always have to be centered in leadership and all this kind of stuff. Because I personally believe for like liberation for black people, it's gonna take a black woman or a black gay person to be the leader. Because a black straight dude with too much power is always gonna do some fuck shit, and that's just
But
Right,
I,
'cause it's-
I
'cause it's still gonna be-
disagree. I
um,
see your point. I just respectfully disagree with what, but I see what you're saying.
Please
it
go
won't
on,
be
Kazeem. Please go on.
There needs to be diverse leadership
right,
within the black community. It can't just all be black men. It can't be, well, let me not say it can't be all just black straight men. I agree with that. So I
right.
agree that just if a black guy just gets enough power, it's down. It's like, but I get what you're saying though. I understand what you're trying to say. It's we need to make sure that we're internally checking ourselves and making sure
Right.
that everyone has a voice that wants to have a voice. And
Yeah.
that's fine. And I don't have a problem.
Because my thing is like I've seen these black dudes, they'll get mad at white people for saying all lives matter, right? Because it's taking attention from what's supposed to be happening. But then
Right.
they'll get mad for a black trans person saying black trans lives matter. Why? And then going, but we're already saying black lives matter, so what are you talking about? You're literally doing the same thing. And so like a lot of people, I think when they're a minority in one place, it's hard for them to check their privilege in another. So it's just
Yeah.
like, I know white women
Yeah, because
deal
there's
with
like
sexism.
sub-minorities.
Yeah,
like
I
within,
know white women
yeah.
deal with sexism. I know they deal
Yeah.
with things that comes with being a woman, but they choose whiteness all the time. We see that in the last election in 2016. What a majority of white female voters, who they vote for? The white dude. They didn't even vote for the white woman. That's
Ugh.
fucking crazy in my head.
No, it's crazy.
It was the white women had a chance to have a president that looked like them, and they was just like, nah, fuck that.
Well,
Like
they
that-
made everybody hate her, and like she had plenty of reasons to be hated, but they made it like way worse. Like, but the whole political system like is so fucked to me. I never would have voted for Trump, and I certainly wouldn't again. You know what I mean? But it's like
Yeah.
I still looking at the whole system. I'm like, all of you are fucked up as long as you're just perpetuating this initial system that we have that is
Right.
built like somebody said to me, and I felt so dumb for not seeing it before, but they're like, the system isn't broken, the system was built to be this way. It's
It's doing
working
exactly
as
what it's
planned.
supposed to
Yeah.
do.
And I'm like, oh my fucking God, my dumb ass thought like, and because you just like you get taught stuff in the school, and like
Yeah.
like people were talking about, when did you learn about Juneteenth? When did you learn about Black Wall Street? It's like, I didn't get taught about that stuff in school at all. Just like even growing up like in an island, like I didn't get taught that like there was like a slur against me as like a white like Dutch person, and they called us Macambas, and I didn't know what it meant until I got older, and it basically like translates to like white Dutch invader, you know what I mean? And it's like, oh, like I'm the racist and they don't like me, but like it wasn't anything that showed up like in school, because I was only there till I was like 9. But when I went back and like would see sort of like different arguments, and it's like, are you really born here? Do you belong here? And like, even though I was born there, I still didn't belong there, because the people that that took over, this wasn't their land. And I'm like, son of a bitch.
Yeah.
It's just like all built on a racist, because like Dutch people wanted a port, and they had a really good port for like trade and like slave trade, and like looking at like the Santa Claus figure, Sinterklaas, had these little guys called Zwartepiets, and they were like these little like jesters in blackface that would like beat you and put you in a bag. And I'm like, that's some racist shit.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
I'm on a boat. It was like slaves. I was like, nobody told me that. And I'm like, how stupid. Like, and I feel like so much luckier now, and it sucks that it's taking this long. Even though like in college, you know, I went for criminal justice and women's studies. So I took a lot of different diversity classes. And to your point about like, even within the minority movement, there's sub-minorities, and then you almost have to branch off, but still stay together somehow. It's like feminism. There's like white feminism, and then there's like Black feminism and Hispanic feminism. Like there's different needs for each group, and one shouldn't take away from the other, but for sure there's got to be, you know, different movements. But when you start arguing over the semantics over Black Lives Matter or Black Trans Lives Matter, it's like, no, you got to kind of keep it together, right? Like just because.
Well, that's the thing. No movement will be successful until the most vulnerable person in that movement is taken care of.
Yeah.
If we fight for protection of women, we fight for the protection of trans people, that means everybody on up is going to be protected.
Right. So why would you have to like focus on the words? Why not let them have the words is what I'm saying. Like, I don't think like call it whatever you need to call it.
Right.
To make.
Well, that's the thing is like for some people, a lot of people just straight up just can't check their privilege. It's an ego thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do think it's an ego thing, right? Because I mean, honestly, it's just like when I hear the phrase Black Trans Lives Matter, I'm like, all right, cool. I don't really, it doesn't even click.
Yeah.
I swear to God, I don't even like hear it and like feel anything, because it's like, all right, cool. Yeah, I get it. And then I just keep it moving.
There's some people that legit be like, nah, we saying Black Lives Matter. Don't say that bullshit. And it's like, we're not gonna get free. Like we're not gonna get anything. And so, and I think, like especially like with white people, I think the hardest pill to usually swallow is not that you're racist for being white. That's never the case. You didn't pick being white. It's you have to reckon with the fact that your life is set up in a way because the system was set up to protect yours.
Yeah.
And it was set up for you to be successful. While it was also being built on the backs of other people, and they also have descendants too. So it's like you've benefited from 400 years of me suffering.
Yeah.
And so that has to be taken care of. That has to be given back. Because if it doesn't, then like what's the point of me following the rules? What's the point of me paying taxes? What's the point of me being a good citizen and all this other bullshit?
Right. Like you didn't get to start the race at the same time and are perpetually held back. Like how can you not, like if you don't acknowledge that, like that holding back, then you're just still giving into that system and being like, no, but I'm threatened because I don't want to lose my privilege. And it's like, well, at least for me seeing it, it's like, it's fucking horrifying. And I can't imagine how you feel. And I've never had to feel like that. And just watching videos or hearing the stories and even watching these documentaries and seeing like LA 92 and things like same shit. And I'm like, this already like happened like this a lot, you know, and it's still, people still like quell it under the rug and pretend, okay, it's all fixed now. And it's like, no, that just can't be the case. And I just can't see how people take it as a threat to make everybody feel comfortable. And it's not gonna be quick. It's not gonna be easy. It's gonna take a long fucking time. At
how America's handled what's happened. Police violence happened, and because everybody's attention was on what was going on, now every racist issue and every problem we have also came out. It's like, hey, we need to deal with all this shit too, because everybody's so angry. So it's been very interesting because this George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, the week, you know, they were killed in this, like in the same, around the same time frame. It's just
Ahmaud Arbery.
Yeah, Ahmaud Arbery was killed, you know, a couple weeks before. It's interesting to see how the country has kind of responded to this, where we're talking about literally like racism in every institution, whereas like in all the other police killings, they got a lot of attention, like Philando Castile and Mike Brown. We were just talking specifically about police brutality, but now we're talking about racism in the workplace. We're talking about racism in Hollywood. We're talking about racism in the economy and all these different. We're talking about all these different things where institutional racism is a thing, and it's just very interesting to me that now in 2020, a black man being killed by the police is like making everybody finally talk about where we have racism everywhere else besides police departments, because that's just
Yeah.
one issue.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it's because we're in a we're in a time now where there's just so much access to information.
Right.
And so since there's so much access to information, I think we just got an information overload where it's like, oh my God, everybody's, because Ahmaud Arbery happened, then we had a protest, then literally 3 or 4 days later, he died, George
Yeah.
Floyd,
Right.
Yeah.
right? And then while George Floyd's dying, we hear the story about Breonna Taylor. And
Yeah.
then when we hear the story about Breonna Taylor, then suddenly we want to talk about Philando Castillo. We're still mad about that, by the
Yeah.
way, because I watched that video. That's just so tragic every single time, right? So
That-
with that, and then put in the fact that everyone is home, no one is working, right? So I don't have time. I don't have anything to like distract me. I'm just on my
Yeah.
phone all day,
mm,
right? And I'm just on my phone. I'm on Instagram, and I see all my black friends on Instagram talking about it. I see what's trending on Twitter. The first 7 things are related to Black Lives Matter movement, and I'm just on
Yeah.
Twitter. And then it's like, okay, well, I'm not. I don't want this to happen. So what do? I go out in the street and I start, saying some things. And
yeah.
then other people are like, you know what? I want to break some shit. Let me go out in the street with those people and start breaking some things also. And you
Yeah.
know what? I'm not mad at them.
No,
Be,
of
No.
be opportunistic.
course not. Boston Tea Party, baby. Like,
Yeah.
They
Well,
looted the Boost Mobile store. God damn it.
that's hilarious. Boost Mobile is like the
hey, man,
cheapest
I
one.
would have rather them hit AT&T, but look, you gotta
Yeah.
do what you gotta do.
But
Hey,
that's
man.
the whole thing that like ends up happening is like, well, sure, they can, they can have protests, but don't go breaking stuff. And it's like, and like my first like mental thought was like, yeah, sure. And then I was like, no, because one, like you're taught, like I'm taught in school as a young person, oh, well, there was racism. And then Martin Luther King did some peaceful protests. And then they were like, okay, fine. Here, let's make like we're not racist anymore. We'll sign this act for you. And it's like what they leave out is like costing $42 million in like looting and damages.
Mhm.
To be like, oh, now you're attacking our stuff. Okay, fine. Now we'll give you, because like our property is more important.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well,
Also,
way
there
to
was
leave
a
that out. Yeah.
Also, there was a bus boycott that cost them a lot of money that lasted years,
Yeah.
right? So, I mean, it's not like, so, I mean,
And the
do
thing,
I, go ahead.
peaceful protest, like you have to be careful with the language with that, because Martin Luther King didn't peacefully protest. The way they set their protest up, they knew where the photographers were going to be. They knew where the newspaper people were going to be. And they also knew the police were going to enact violence upon them if they pushed the boundaries.
Yeah.
So what they did was they put themselves in situations where violence would happen to them.
Mm-hmm.
So people in other countries and all across the country would see that violence and be like, yo, I have to do something about this.
Yeah.
So it's just like, we say like peaceful protests, like Martin Luther King was like some pussy or something. Like, no,
Yeah.
this dude literally would put himself in harm's way on purpose to catch it on camera. So that way people across the country would know that. And so like, that's why like I hate how the education system is. They act like Martin Luther King just walked around like, please let us Negroes be one of y'all. Like that's not what he was doing.
No.
This dude was
No.
this dude was really
They
a
were,
mastermind.
that movement was so strategic.
So
If
strategic.
you like really look at it, they were so strategic. Here's how strategic they were, right? Rosa Parks, right? She sat on the bus,
Right.
right? She wasn't the only person
No.
to do that, but she was the most marketable person to
Right.
do that.
There was a girl they were going to use before Rosa Parks, but she was like pregnant or something.
And then she got pregnant. She was a teenager. Perfect. Yeah. Little black girl. Why wouldn't you let her there? And then this motherfucker go ahead and get pregnant. And they're like, bitch, now you got to, let's get this old lady. And that's exactly what happened.
And the other thing with the education system, they act like Rosa Parks was just this old lady that sat on the bus randomly one day. She was a sexual assault like advocate, was like doing all these things for women like 10, 15 years prior to even the civil rights movement. She did so much stuff. And it's crazy like how all that just gets swept under the rug. Just
Yeah.
she's a black lady that sat on a bus.
Yeah, that's literally how it's taught. It's like, oh, just one day she did this stand and like that made the change. And it's like, how
because her feet hurt.
Right. But it's like, but it's so fucked to still see people defending even, you know, the strategically, like, I don't know if it's been strategically placed now for the cops to inflict harm, but it's like, there's so many videos just that are so insane. And then people are like, but still, why do you have to like break windows? It's like, you can fucking fix a window, asshole. And everybody has goddamn insurance, but you can't bring a body back to life. You can't bring a person back to life. Like, and are you seeing these cops? Like, and then like people have the audacity to reply with, you know, to the Breonna Taylor post and say things like, well, no, why is nobody talking about her boyfriend was shooting at the cops? And it's like, bro, like,
if you can knock a door in, not announce who you are, and just start shooting in my apartment.
That like that's what that's why you're allowed to have a gun, motherfuckers. You don't just bust in and start, you know. But like the person that thinks that, like, to me, I'm like, they're so far gone. They're not going to be in that 30% that you need, you know, or hope for.
For that kind of individual, the only thing that's gonna change their mind is something like that happening to them.
Yeah.
Right. That's really the only thing that's gonna change their mind. Right. Because, and I think that's kind of the other thing that's kind of the that's helping this movement now, is that weirdly enough, when white people are getting assaulted by the cops, they kind of understand what's going on.
Yeah, right? For that old man that got pushed down.
Oh my God, yeah.
And then here's the thing: not only did they push him, they lied and said that, oh, he tripped and fell, like we didn't see the video.
Like you can see, and then they walked over him.
We didn't see the video, and then they walked over him.
He's an agitator. He's an old fucking man, and
then they fired those two people that were involved, and then like 50 something officers quit. They didn't quit the force, by the way. They're still cops. They quit a special team they quit that team that was there. They quit that team that was marching in solidarity. And you're like, okay, there's no that just kills your whole bad apple kind of thing, because one, the whole team quit. So that's not one bad apple. Mm-hmm. And then the whole department, the whole like police department lied and put out a statement. The system is bad. It's not one thing.
That's why, like, these people that are like, well, I joined the police to do this. I'm like, dog, within 3 months, you either gonna quit or you just gonna do what everybody else is doing.
Yeah.
And it's just like the whole bad apple, good apple thing, like you said, it's a myth.
Yeah.
It's a system that has to be defunded and abolished. Because here's the thing, the police that started off as slave patrol. Mm-hmm. They literally were just sent out to go catch slaves and then kill. And then a lot of people don't know this. They're just killing Mexican people on the border and in El Paso and things like that. That's where this started. You can't reform that. Yeah. That's already a system. And so you can't reform things that are an extension of slavery. And that's why we prison the most people in America. Like, we have more people in prison than in China. That's crazy. China has 1 billion people. We got like 300 million. And so
in China's in small note defense, I mean, China is a communist nation, and they do what their country tells them to do. But go ahead.
People ain't going to prison because they ain't doing what America tells them to do.
Yeah, you're right.
Right. And so it's just like we keep reforming things and amending things that were extensions of slavery still here in 2020. And so we have to abolish those things. That's the only way. That's the only way this is going to work. Because like slavery was never abolished. They just turned it into police and prisons. And so, and you just see who's directly affected the most from that. And it's the same people who were slaves.
Yeah.
And so that's why I can't listen to this good apple bullshit, because it's not the case. No. Because every cop that comes forward and says and tries to, bring down whoever did bad usually gets fired. Or there's conspiracies where somebody just goes missing and all this kind of stuff. And I mean, there's been so many police to just straight up quit over the last couple months because they just can't deal with it anymore.
Yeah, it's like, sorry, you can't just like willy-nilly kill black people like you wanted to. You know, that's fucking ridiculous. Yeah. But like, even when they framed all the cops quitting, you first see and you're like, oh, good. They're kind of trying to say like, we don't stand for this. But it's like, no, they did it in solidarity with the other cops. And I'm like, oh my God. You guys
Yeah.
are so fucked. And forget like all the money, just like the imbalance of the budget that you see. And it's like, if you put this into communities, maybe, you know, and they were like, oh, redlining was banned 50 years ago. No, the fuck it wasn't.
No,
They
it
just
wasn't.
they just fucking like redistrict, rezone. They do whatever, like, you know, just all these things that like I'm ashamed and pissed that I'm learning so much now as 35 years old, thinking that I was somebody that was like always an ally. I'm like, you could have had so much more information
But
and
it's
been
not
working a lot
just
harder sooner. But it's like seeing it in front of your face so much, like with social media and the fact that we're like in control of sharing it now, and it's like just clear as day.
Right.
Is like when you still can't agree with it, I'm just like there's this just there's what are you supposed to do with those people? We definitely just have to fucking get rid of the police. I've never had a cop help me that I liked, and I'm white, so you know, like I'm serious. Like seriously,
yeah,
I've
no,
never
that
once
is
had a
so
good
true.
interaction with a cop, even when I was calling them to help me. You know, and it's like, why are they always on a fucking power trip? So I'm just lucky that I'm alive to talk about it.
I was in a
But
car accident back in October, coming back on the 101. A drunk driver hit me and drove off. My car got totaled. I called the police. I tell them I'm on the side of the road, blah, blah, blah. Dispatch is like, oh, we're going to send somebody to you. I waited there for 2 hours. Nobody even came.
oh my god,
Thankfully, there was like a tow truck that kind of saw what happened, and they were going back to my neighborhood. It just happened. And like I was like, me and the tow truck dude was like, it was a white dude, and we were just laughing. It was like, yeah, if I had told him there's a black guy running down the street with a TV, I guarantee they would have been there in 30 fucking seconds.
oh
But
yeah,
I'm sitting in a car totaled. They don't give a shit about that. That whole that's why like I love like Neil Brennan has one of the funniest jokes about police. He says like serve and protect is in quotes on the side of the police car, like they're being sarcastic about it.
And
Like,
that's his closer.
that's so funny,
yeah.
but it's so true.
So
Because
true.
like when has a police officer ever and this is how I usually get white people. I'm always like, all right, well, when have they ever served and protected you? Please tell me. Give me an instance. And they can't ever really name one. Because I mean, it's not even it's things with just race. I mean, you can look at sexual assault cases and rape kits and all these kind of things. Police don't give a shit. They don't care. And so like there's a tweet I thought that was so funny. It was like, oh no, if we defund the police, who's gonna show up 7 hours after you get robbed and then tell you they can't do anything about it?
yeah,
Now,
right.
I can do that for free.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's true.
it's
We
fucked
literally do not need police. There's like you can't give me any. And people are like, well, what about bank robberies? And what police officers ever stopped a bank robbery?
up. Right. Yeah.
What about burning buildings? Firemen do that, bitch.
Yeah.
So it's just like
nobody's saying
don't
fuck the
need
fire
police.
department right now because they do their job. Yeah.
No, we didn't say defund the fire department, guys. Calm
That's what
down.
I'm saying. And so
Yeah.
they bring up all these emergency situations that they've never had ever in their life. And
Yeah.
it's a lot of it is this Copaganda shit on TV, these movies, and these shows.
Copaganda. Yeah.
And so
Well, that's the thing in movies. Sorry, go ahead.
The police officers are these heroes and they do all these great things. And I'm like, you don't know one damn cop like that in real life.
No.
You know, none of these police movies are ever say based on a true story before.
Yeah.
But you know what movies always say based on a true story before? The ones about racism.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, they do glorify the cops. And it's always like one cop that's like, I demand justice and I'm going to do whatever I can and put my job on the line. It's like, that literally never happens.
No, that cop in real life, nobody sits with them at lunch.
Yeah. Or they get fired or go missing, like you said.
Right.
You know, it's fucked off.
But just to go back on one point you made about like not knowing some things, I wouldn't say feel bad about that because that was the system. The system was designed to not teach it. Like, tell you the truth, I learned about Black Wall Street from HBO's The Watchmen. That's when I promise you, that's when a lot of Black people found out about it. And then we went back and looked it up. And maybe not a lot of Black people, but maybe just me.
I'd say a lot of Americans. I wouldn't say a lot of Black people.
Oh yeah, a lot of people, right? And that's just me because it's like Black History Month was just Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks, Malcolm X for 3 hours, and then you know, and then that's it. I don't really remember anything else they taught us about Black history. We didn't even talk about Medgar Evers. I had to like watch Medgar Evers movie.
Only reason I know about Medgar Evers is we're from the same town. So
yeah.
And that's the other thing about this is like you also have to be patient with people because if you're one that has knowledge and information and everything, you can't make people feel stupid for not knowing about Black Wall Street and all this kind of stuff. It wasn't just readily available info. You know what I'm saying? It's like I went to college in Tulsa for 2 years where it literally happened. And it's people that are residents of Tulsa that do not know what the fuck that is. Still, there's an HBO show about it. All the white kids from Tulsa had no idea, and they grew up a neighborhood over from it. And when you go to Greenwood, the North Tulsa area, it's mostly Black and like undocumented people, and the area isn't taken care of. And you can tell, literally since 1921, the city of Tulsa has not done anything to really take care of that area. And so it's just crazy for me, and like when I go to college, like 2013, 2014, to see an area that was ravished 80, 90 years ago, and it still hadn't came back because it didn't get any help from the state.
Just like the
and the thing is, Black Wall Street is not the only one. You know, look up Rosewood. That story is even crazier. You know what I'm saying? So it's wild. And then also the thing with Black Wall Street is, I think it's one of those stories that's easily digestible because you can prop it up to be like, these were the good Black people. They had their planes and the libraries and the banks and all this kind of stuff. But we have Black Wall Streets every day with just like rich people gentrifying places and closing, like in Chicago, them closing all these schools down and then building jails. Like that's a Black Wall Street massacre right there in my eyes. You know what I'm saying? And so it's just like this school to prison pipeline, all these things people don't know about because it's not readily available information. American history is literally taught in schools to keep white people comfortable. Yeah. So it's just like, you're not supposed to learn about this shit until you're 35. In fact, they don't want you to learn about it at all because then you might do something about it. Right, so exactly. That's the thing. People that do have this information or do know these things, we have to be patient with one another. We can't get angry with people because they don't know stuff that they honestly weren't supposed to know. Right. This is where we have to, educate and talk these out and have these kind of conversations. And then when you learn something new, you need to go back and tell the people that look like you. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Right. So like straight Black men need to keep straight Black men accountable. You know what I'm saying? White women need to keep white women accountable. White dudes need to keep white dudes accountable. Because for some reason, a lot of people can't listen to somebody that don't look like them unless they're rapping or telling a joke. So it's like, it's just how it is.
It's like you don't get to like pick and choose like the parts you like and then not stand up for people when it comes to the other shit.
White people I know love Dave Chappelle.
They love him. Yeah.
But if you say the things Dave Chappelle says in his specials, not as a joke, but it's just like a historical fact, they're like, no, that's no way. I'm like, nigga, you just laughed at it. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
They thought he was being sarcastic now. Come on now.
Well, yeah, or it's like he's one of the good ones, or even just those like micro statements and microaggressions. Like to me, like always has been the case. Whenever somebody says blacks, I'm like, ugh. Like that's not. Yeah. You don't say the blacks. You don't say blacks. Like that's. Yeah,
I'm working on a bit about that. Is like if anybody says blacks or homosexuals, they don't like Black people or gay people. Like that's not how you refer.
Wait, to it. I have a joke where I say, okay, well, I have a joke that I say I say homosexual because it just sounds funny coming out of my mouth.
Right, because that's what people say when they don't like gay people. Because
damn it! Homosexual. So I say gay instead.
I mean,
but gay sounds mean.
I don't know the joke, so
yeah. I do impression. This is so stupid. I do impression of a homosexual. I say this is my impression of a homosexual water sprinkler, and I just stand still. I'm like shh, shh, shh. And I just don't, and I just stand there, and it's just exactly. It's very stupid and very childish. Now, is that wrong? Should I say just gay water sprinkler?
I'm not gonna police your language.
Police my language. No, police my language.
And also, like, you can't speak for the gays.
I would say gay water sprinkler. It's just like every person I've ever met that's like the homosexuals is doing this. Usually don't like gay people.
Oh no, I just say homosexual because just the triple thing, homosexual. It just sounds cool coming out of the tongue and fits with the joke. But I'll say gay.
I think it's better than homos anyway.
For me, it comes. It's way easier for me because it's like a lot of the times the words I use. Anytime someone's ever corrected me on my word, I never needed the word for the joke. Right. So I don't ever mind changing a word. Okay. For me, because it's just tell me what word to use, and I can just get on with the joke.
Right. It's just like one of those things. Like how would you feel if a white comic was on stage going, "So the blacks did this today"? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
I just say it's not racist per se, but it just makes you feel like, what's this motherfucker say at home in private? You know?
Yeah. Well, it's
Yeah.
also like the juxtaposition of the blacks and white people. It's like you'd have to say blacks and whites or black people and white
Yeah.
people. Otherwise, it's like, whoa, why is there, you know?
That's
the
why I
discrepancy?
say the whites now.
Yeah. Well, I think you're allowed. I think after all this pain and struggle, you've earned that.
Yeah,
So
100 years.
just like I think, you know, if people want to break shit, like, well, you've been breaking people for for hundreds of years. So fuck your window.
And I think it has to happen because it proves America to care more about property than it does about people.
Yeah. Well, because they thought those people were property anyway. So
and they care more about property that's broken by minorities and not property that's broken by guys in Boston after the Patriots win or after the Red Sox win or in Toronto when the Raptors
boys being boys, man.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
I've seen a lot of those videos. Like, this is how white people react. Their team won, break a bunch of stuff. Their team lost, break a bunch of stuff. And I'm like, what the fuck? But no, the Apple store. Oh no. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. But they also, I mean, there was a riot in Portland after Trump won, and they looted the Apple store and they looted everywhere, and then like, but no one did like 1,000. No one was like, oh, I understand. Well, why are they looting though? No one said anything like that. They literally were just like, people are angry. That was how CNN like portrayed it. People are angry because
and it was
Trump won.
And it was white people.
It was Portland. Come on now.
Oh yeah, you're right. Okay, it was Portland. All right.
Yo, I was in Portland in February, and there's this street right with all these like nice little restaurants, and me and a couple other black comics were walking down the street. We're there for this black comedy festival.
Yeah,
there were more Black Lives Matter signs on the businesses' doors than I saw black people.
Oh wow.
It was very funny. I was like, Portland, you're trying. That's cool.
Yeah, Portland likes it. Seattle's trying. Seattle took over all of downtown. Seattle don't care.
I saw that.
We got Seattle making their little
what's it called? The Chaz.
The Chaz.
I want a Chaz zone just for like people that want to drink. I think that would be dope. Like, just give us a strip where we can be outside freely and walk around with 40s and
like Bourbon Street.
They tried that in New Orleans. It's not. It doesn't work. I've been.
They tried that. That's Bourbon Street. That's a classic. That's a landmark.
That is not. That is not a landmark.
It is yucky.
Landmark, bro. I remember going.
That place is
about 17.
Listen, Bourbon Street is wild. I don't know how else to explain it. It's just
Bourbon
it's
Street.
just wild. Yeah. So that was one of my friends literally said the cops that are on Bourbon Street are just there to make sure when someone dies they can call the paramedics to go pick them up and then keep rolling. Like they're not there to.
That's like the rule on Bourbon Street. Like everything's cool if somebody like starts shooting or whatever.
Yeah.
Like that's not cool. Everything else, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
You 15, you want to drink? Sure, whatever.
Yeah,
so
no.
Everything just goes.
Yeah.
I remember we were like in high school. We paid this homeless dude to go buy like liquor from us because they had like this liquor stand. They have these things called hurricanes. They comes in this huge alcohol drink. It comes in a fish bowl, and we all wanted one. And so like we gave this homeless man like $40 to go up there to buy 3 hurricanes. And they could see us standing off to the side, and they were like, but then they just gave it to him anyway.
Yeah.
And then we paid for him to get on the bus back to like, I think he was trying to get back to Tennessee to see his children or something. So in my eyes,
Time out. Okay, I swear to God, I didn't expect that story to take that kind of turn right there. I swear to God. No. Okay, go ahead, Niles. Oh my God.
We put a family back together. Name any other 17-year-old that's ever done that.
Doing the Lord's work.
Oh my God. And the way you said that, I was like, yeah, he was trying to go back to like Tennessee or whatever to see his kids, whatever. We put him on a bus and we went on about our day with our hurricane.
I definitely didn't see them going there. I thought he was going to steal your money and not get you anything.
No, that was funny.
What if what if he was crazy and he didn't really have a family and you just sent him somewhere and now he's just stuck in Tennessee?
He's there now.
Yeah.
There's Nashville, there's Memphis. You know, he'll be Tennessee.
That was the other thing. He didn't even say like what part of Tennessee. He's like, yeah, I just need to get to Tennessee. Bus ticket.
Oh, no, he was lying.
Hey man, that ain't that don't have nothing to do with
You're
me.
like, I had the fishbowl.
He gonna disappear on he gonna disappear on half those on the first half of that bus trip. On the first stop, he'll just stay at that gas station, wherever they wherever they stop. He's just not gonna get back on the bus.
Hey,
Yeah, it happens.
I don't. Hey man, what you choose to do with the money you're given, that's not my
Yeah.
that's not my business.
It be like that sometimes.
It be like that.
So how are you guys just feeling generally about like this being different this time and actually working? Are you feeling like that's the case, that there's actually going to be made some progress, or are you kind of like it's going to be the same old shit and it's going to take a lot longer?
You want to take this one?
I am cautiously optimistic, only because I mean, honest to God, I thought things were gonna change with Trayvon, right? And
Yeah.
then Mike Brown, and then Philando, and then Eric Garner, and then and I that's the weird. There's been so many names, I'm forgetting some of them.
Yeah.
Like the guy, I can only say, Sandra Bland, and then the guy who I literally in my mind, I'm like the guy who was selling cigarettes. I forget his name, but he was Eric Garner, the guy who was selling cigarettes, and then all these other things, and it's like it's nice, but it's like I just hope we just keep the pressure on them, right? Because I just don't want it to. I don't want it to. I don't want to have to like, you know, get sad again. I don't know.
Yeah.
But and that's the weird thing. You know the sad thing? It's gonna happen again. It's not whether or not it happens
It
again.
Well,
happened 2
I mean,
days ago.
it's been
Oh,
happening
God
since.
damn it.
Yeah,
Really? What
it's been
happened 2
happening.
days ago?
There's a Salvadorian boy in Gardena, California. He's 18 years old, working.
Okay.
He's got the security job after high school. Police
Okay.
murdered him.
They
Mhm.
killed him on a job?
Yeah,
Yeah,
because he
they
ran
said
away.
they thought he had an illegal firearm. So they roll. And here's my thing: if you're an 18-year-old kid and some people roll up on you and don't announce who they are, probably gonna take off running.
I'm running.
Yeah.
End of discussion.
He took off running, and so they said they shot 7 warning shots in the air. No, they shot 7 warning shots in his back.
That's so
Killed him.
fucked. And like, you're not supposed to like technically shoot anybody who's running away because they're not a
No.
fucking threat.
You're not supposed to.
And it's like cops, like, hey guys, you're supposed to detain people that you think are doing things wrong. You're not allowed to just kill them.
You're supposed to identify yourself.
Yeah.
The
Like
kid,
that's at the very least.
the kid was just
right?
doing his job, man.
And then even the guy, Rayshard Brooks, in the just trying to do the right thing,
Yeah, I saw that video.
sleeping in the fucking
Yeah.
in the
I
Wendy's
didn't watch
parking
the
lot.
video. I can't watch video.
It's like
You don't want to watch that video. It's just that video is just so. It's not even. And this is the thing. I didn't see the video of them shooting him. I saw everything up to the point where he's literally outside the car and he's like, "Listen, I don't want to drive. I live right there. I just want to sleep in my car. I'm not going anywhere." And then the video cuts off because they don't show anything after that. Well, I didn't see anything after that, and it's just like, I don't know. So yeah, things are. But I mean, at the same time, there are small things that are happening, but
sure.
the small things that are happening are only because they see how angry we are. So I think we just need to stay angry.
Yeah.
Right? As soon as honestly, guys, as soon as NASCAR was like, no more Confederate flags, I was like, you know what? I think this might work, but
Yeah.
I'm
still optimistic.
Black people have always been angry. It's white people
Yeah.
are angry now.
There we
Yeah.
go.
And that's
You're right.
white people have to continue to apply the pressure. Like
Yeah.
that's just how it is, because the system was set in place to protect white people, so white people have to dismantle it.
Right.
Like that's just straight up.
Yeah.
There's only 12% of black people in America. We only have so much influence and power. It's just like there's only so much black people can do alone. And it's just like, you can even look at the civil rights movement. There's a lot of Catholic priests and a lot of white churches that joined Martin Luther King and his marches and things like that. And that's what got a lot of cities to get behind him. And so it's like a unity. It's more of a unity thing where people who aren't black have to give a fuck.
Right.
Are you saying that if black people don't have white people, that will be black supremacy. Niles, is that what you're?
No, I'm
Is
not.
that what you're saying? Okay, I'm just
I'm
making
not.
sure. I'm just
Uh,
making
I
sure.
I have heard people say that, like, don't take, white supremacy to have black supremacy. It's like,
Yeah, Terry
motherfuckers, there
Crews.
shouldn't
Terry
be a
Crews is an idiot.
supremacy. It should
So
be an
stupid. He's
equality.
so stupid.
I was
Also, black supremacy doesn't exist.
No.
That would imply power.
Like the electoral college built to suppress black voting, and just the fact that it's like, you know, the certain states that have like a huge black population but somehow always turn out red
Yeah.
because of, like, for some reason you're waiting 3 fucking hours, 8 hours to vote. It's like, is this not like, why do people not see that? And it sucks that your voices alone wouldn't be enough, but it's like, white people do need to be mad and stay mad, and that's what I plan to do,
You have
because
to.
I'm just like,
I mean,
the moment you
more
just
things
go
have
back to
been-
your life is like you're just perpetuating it.
More things have been done to dismantle institutional racism in the last couple of months than any president has ever enacted, or any voting for somebody's enacted. And I want everybody to realize that. And I'm not saying don't vote. I'm not saying that. But you can't say all this, fuck the system and bring everything down, and then go vote, because obviously it's a lot of other shit that makes them actually move the needle besides voting.
Yeah.
And so, vote, whatever, do that. But we need to apply the pressure on these people and actually show that we care about certain issues.
Yeah.
I agree.
Because I mean, there's this president that everybody loves so much. He was a black dude that basically gave police military like budgets. And I'm not gonna say his name. I don't want to down a black man on a podcast.
You don't have to say his name. He's the only
he
one.
wasn't just a black guy. He was a black Muslim now. That's disrespectful.
If you do your research, you might find this black guy's name. You might. He was a president at one point, but he gave the police a lot of money to fuck us up.
We're having a standoff here.
We're not having a standoff. I agree. It's a mixed bag with Obama. It's a mixed bag. I'll be honest, it is a mixed bag. I think there are some things that he did that were good. I mean, we did get healthcare, and then there are some things that I'm like, oh, he's still I think people don't understand. Yes, symbolically amazing, right. But we didn't treat him like a politician, and we should have treated him like a politician. And because we just were like, oh, he's dancing with Ellen, and we're like, but then he's like, oh, let's go kill some kids in Yemen right quick. No, motherfucker, what are you doing? No, you know what I mean?
Yemen is going through it right now.
Yeah.
Well, that's the whole thing. It's like he's still a politician. He's still in the system.
Yeah,
he needs to be fucking dismantled.
We didn't hold his feet to the fire because we didn't. To be honest with you, I don't think we had demands like that. We were just happy for him to be there. Because we were like, just don't die. Just don't die for 8 years, and then we'll be happy.
And here's the thing, rightfully so. I mean, I have family members that said they never would have saw that. Seeing old black people in my family cry when we won in 2008 because all the bullshit they went through. But then also as a kid, I was just kind of like, so this changes everything you went through, though?
Oh, yeah.
It's just me being a cynical child at the time, but it's just like,
you knew too much too early. Yeah.
Symbolically, we all thought it was the first step.
But and here's the thing: it's just like, how important are symbols when we have what we have right after he was president?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Well, that's the whole thing. It's like, how do you go from that to that? And then people do always bring up, of course, like he didn't do a perfect job in every way, but like I was definitely excited to vote for him and was like, fuck yeah.
Why wouldn't you?
But like,
he had everything,
Right. But like, it's still also like in a way, just hearing from what everybody's saying, like perpetuates that, well, this is one of the good black guys that is like, articulate, like those little words that you use. And it's like, wow, I can't believe how articulate is like, well, that's fucking racist.
Exactly.
Say that, and it's
Chris
like
Rock was saying that in the 90s when they were trying to get Colin Powell to run for president. He had the whole bit about all the white people were on TV saying how Colin Powell speaks so well. And like, that's such a dog whistle, like racial. And so President Obama checked all the white people boxes, as I call them.
Yeah.
First of all, he was good looking. Mm-hmm. He was good looking. He didn't pose a threat. He was well versed in how white people talk and operate. He was well educated. And he had no scandals. Black man has to be scandal free.
Yeah.
Doing things like.
And let me tell you, this man was scandal free.
Because they looked for everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They made Obama denounce his pastor.
Yeah. They,
Ugh.
they made, think about that. The guy baptized your children, like, and then you still had to go on like a news conference and be like, I denounce what he said,
Right.
even though it was clearly taken out of context, but I still denounce it
But
wholeheartedly.
here's the thing, though.
Yeah.
It wasn't even taken out of context. He said what he said, but if Jeremiah Wright says that shit right now in 2020, every
Yeah.
one person will be like, "You're so right."
Yeah.
He didn't say anything wrong. He just
He
said,
didn't say
"God."
anything wrong.
He said, "God damn America for everything you've done."
Yeah.
But the thing is, the way white fragility works is that's bad, and so basically, white media made President Obama go, "All right, if you want, how bad do you want to be president? Because you're gonna have this black dude saying all this bad shit about us. You better say that's not right." So it's just like, but the thing is, if the way the internet works and the way culture has shifted, Jeremiah Wright says that today, everybody says he's a hero.
Yeah. Which is a progress, but it's like, I'm sorry, you can't keep calling something great that is so shitty. Like, who cares about this fucking flag you're so worried about?
Yeah.
It doesn't, all that it means to me is like murder and death and racism and oppression and lying and doing whatever you can to keep your money. Like Fox posting the thing about like, hey, when a prominent black man dies, or like there's like a really big thing in the news about another black man getting killed by the police, stock market goes up. And I'm like, why would you post that, and why is that a thing?
That's
How is
crazy.
that fucking
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, America's all about symbols. Like it's just everything symbolism. Because like I made a post about like, so Mississippi, the state flag has the Confederate flag emblem on the state flag, and like people are like, it's fine, it's time to finally take it down. And I was like, nah, hold up, because here's the thing: the way white people operate is once you take a symbol down, that's like they get to have their like pat on the back moment, and they act like things have been fixed. So so basically, what I said was, I don't want the Confederate flag emblem taken out of our state flag until y'all fix everything else.
Yeah.
Then y'all can have your pat on the back moment that y'all fixed all the shit at the end.
Yeah.
That's the cherry on the top.
Yeah.
And so, and then, because the thing with the Confederate, my thing with the Confederate flag is like, what did white people do under the Confederate flag if they didn't do under the American flag to black people?
Right.
That's true.
What's the difference?
That is true.
When I see the American flag, I think the same shit.
Same
And
colors.
so it's the same color. So it's just like, it's a symbolism thing in this country. And like, you can even see it with like terms being used like, I think it's called like ally fatigue or something like that. How white people are talking about how tired they are and how drained they are from these last couple of months. I was like, well, imagine how drained I've been since I was 5, you know?
That's so
And
crazy.
so it's like, it's all about symbols and saving face in this country. And we have to get to the root of a lot of these issues.
Right.
And a lot of it is just protecting white supremacy because it makes you comfortable.
Because if you take the symbol away, but then like everything underneath is still there, like you said, like it's like, oh, how many cops are in the fucking KKK? Why is the KKK not a terrorist organization? Why are they allowed to do shit? They burned a bunch of shit. But it was totally fine. It's like you find like Niles on Twitter, you showed me that thing and I'd already seen it, but like that cop that had like framed in his house like the KKK like application or whatever. It's like, what in the fuck is and it's like, but it when you see it, like it's just, it's so obvious. They're like, well, damn it,
illegal to be affiliated with that.
How is it not like? And but it's like, just removing the symbol from the public doesn't, it just makes them sneakier in the background, you know?
That's why I said President Obama's like the ultimate symbol in a way.
Yeah.
It made everybody feel good. As a black kid, 12 years old, oh my God, I felt like, dude, this is amazing. Like every comedian had jokes about it. Fred Armisen was playing him on SNL. It was just so fun. And then 12 years later.
Yeah.
And
it's
did not expect it to go way back down, because it's like, but the symbol was like, okay, here you had one.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're gonna keep doing our, and it's like, no, what the fuck? Like that's not. Go ahead. You were saying, here's the thing.
Well, no, I said that's the thing.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, yes, I think a lot of people voted for Obama, which is amazing.
Right.
But then the negative effect of that was that now people were like, oh well, racism's done now. Right. Because we all voted for a black president. So now I don't know what you're talking about. What do you mean that the system is rigged against black people? We just voted for a black president. That's part of the system, right? But in reality, no, there's so many, like Niles said, harping on that, everyone still vote, but still understand that voting is only one thing that affects the whole wheels turning,
Yeah.
right? Because Chase doesn't care who the president is. Bank of America doesn't really care who the president is, but we can choose who to bank with,
Right.
right? We can choose who to give our money to,
Oh,
right?
for sure.
Because they just care about, corporations just care about dollars.
Yeah.
So whatever will help them get more money, then they're gonna do that.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
feel like every corporation that posted a Black Lives Matter thing has to also show how many Black employees they have that aren't on their bottom line. That like
Yeah.
that you're not paying minimum wage. How many Black employees do you have that are on your boards, that are on your
Yeah.
that are executives? I want to see.
How
'Cause if
much are
Black
you
lives really
donating to
matter-
Black Lives Matter too?
Right.
Like how
And
much
then
are you?
yeah. Then also I want to see like what your donations look like.
Mhm.
You know, and it's just
Right.
like all these people making these Black Lives Matter statements, and then it's all white people in their executive rooms.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's all symbols, like you said, with like nothing to back it up.
It's,
That's
it's
why-
protecting their property.
Or the
Oh,
minority loans that they give out,
yeah.
right?
As soon as they saw Target get torn up, every other store was like, "Oh shit, these niggas
Yeah.
mad." Say we sorry real quick, so they don't
Yeah.
fuck that shit up. That's really what
Definitely.
that was.
But it's like, isn't it kind of insulting to see
Oh,
that
it's-
and be
It's very
like,
insulting.
are
I
you?
rolled
do
my
you
eyes
think
at
I
every single one.
Yeah.
like?
In
what?
fact, the worst one was the Band-Aid niggas when they put
Ugh.
it out with the different shades.
Oh my
and
God.
thought- and thought they
That
did
was- I
something.
didn't even- they didn't.
I was like, that was the most insensitive shit I've ever seen in my life. So
Also, you came out with clear Band-Aids before you came out with black Band-Aids. Like, we don't need the black Band-Aids anymore. You gave us the clear ones. So why would you come out with black Band-Aids?
it's patronizing at this point.
Yeah.
Because what white people and what rich white people, because it's rich white people that run these corporations, what they're showing us is they only respond to violence.
Yeah.
That's what they're showing me. You're showing me that it took a Black man getting murdered on camera for you to say Black Lives Matter and we're nothing without Black people and blah blah blah.
Not
and
even that.
Also, and that is just not just because the dude got murdered on camera, because everybody got mad about it too.
Yes.
And so now you want to act like Black people are human beings. Like, oh yeah, y'all should get Band-Aids too. It took a nigga getting killed on camera for me to get a Band-Aid from you?
And
That's how you feel about Black people. We don't matter to you.
Yeah. And not even that, really, because it was two black guys consecutively
Right.
that got killed on camera. Right. And the second one wasn't even a gunshot. Like, he was just getting choked to death. The first one was two people literally hunting someone down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then another guy got killed on camera, and then we started rioting. So the first two things you didn't care about. And then the third thing, as soon as Melrose got torn up, suddenly, oh, well, we stand with our black subscribers. Here's all the Netflix movies you should be watching right now.
Oh my God. Yeah. Everything is like, yeah.
Yeah.
Corporations care about our reaction to things. And so that's why you have to be smarter where you spend your money, where you frequent, all these kind of things. We need to know where these people stand. Like, I thought that was dope when somebody like revealed this whole thing about like the dude that owns Coachella. He's very anti-gay. Like, he donates all these anti-gay bills.
Coachella?
Yeah, the dude that runs
That's
Coachella.
cause that seems like it doesn't
of
go
all
together.
the-
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying.
Of all the
would
festivals.
never know who these, 'cause these
Yeah.
rich people, they don't, they're not
they don't care.
out, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They've literally earned their secrecy and their privacy. So they use it to their advantage. And so a lot of these, you have to vote with your dollar in a way.
Yeah. Like,
And
how much is convenience worth to you? If it's like I've always been a boycotter before I became a protester, because I'm like, well, it's still not enough, but I'm like, I'm not gonna pay money to somebody who's working against me and my friends, and I'm not gonna, and I'm gonna use every dollar that I have that's extra to donate to the movement, because it's like, if money talks, and actually gets things going, and we know that the opposition and the whole system has so much more fucking money, especially with the the calls to defund, and then the president's like, well, anyway, we're gonna give more money for training. I'm like, you fucking stupid piece of shit. I already knew you were one, but how could you be even stupider? And people are like, yay, that's great. And I'm like, no, that is That's worse. Yeah.
Yeah, it's I don't know, but I am optimistic,
Oh, me
right? But
too.
that's just that's just my own like disposition of like I genuinely feel. I will say none of my white friends have called me to check in on me during this time, but that's fine. That's neither here nor
I
there.
wish I was as lucky as you, Kazeem.
No one, not a single white person. Well, no, you did, Jessica. You said
Yeah.
hello. How are you? Can you do my podcast? But
Yeah.
other than that, it's like, all right, well, you know.
You
Well,
been
there's
getting
also
Venmo reparations?
I did.
No, no, that's the thing. I didn't even, no one even told me about these things. I didn't
Ah,
know I could just post Venmo and people will send you money, but I'm doing that today,
That sucks.
right?
My white's been taking care of me. You need to
Yeah,
get
yeah, yeah. I need to get on it, bro.
well, that's the thing is
Something's
like
ridiculous.
I've been dumping money into BLM LA because
Yeah.
like that's like or like our particular
Hey,
area, you
my
know,
Black Lives Matter and I live in LA.
but
Yeah. I like that.
but I'm like, hey,
No,
if some
Chaz,
of
can
those,
you? I called you Chaz. My bad. Cause I'm so used to saying Niles and Chaz together. My bad.
yeah.
Niles. No, Jessica, donate to Black Lives Matter LA. You're doing the right. You're doing the right thing.
And also, I did text you, Niles. However, one of the things that I want to say is that, like, I would think as a white person, oh, now you care. If all of a sudden, like, I started texting all like my black friends,
Mhm.
they'd be like, okay, you like never
Yeah.
texted me
And,
before. It would
and
seem like it would seem disingenuous in itself, you know?
I had one white friend that asked me, like, how do you feel about that? And I told her, it's like, you and me have known each other for a long time. We
Yeah.
have a relationship. You ask me if I'm okay when black people aren't getting killed by the police.
Right.
So of course I don't think it's weird when you do that. I'm talking about white people that I ain't seen in 6 years,
Yeah.
or white people that I'd never talked to asking me, because you're not doing that for me. You're doing that to make you feel better as a white person.
Right.
Yeah. And also, it's
That's
at the
what-
same time, it's like it's not black people know the black people can differentiate between all the white people that they know, right? It's not hard to look at it's not hard to look at all the people you know and say who's genuine and who's not,
Right.
right? Just in general, just how their general demeanor, their general disposition, right? It's not hard to figure that out. So some people just, when they post online, it's like that's not as genuine, but
Hmm.
they're sharing information, so it's like it's fine, right? But and then some people are like, oh, I'm gonna ride for everybody and let's go jump a cop tomorrow, and you're
Yeah.
like, okay, this guy's for real.
But it's also just like note how much like slack and leeway you're giving and like making them more comfortable, even just in
Yeah.
saying all that is like,
Yeah,
well, at
exactly.
least they're trying. It's like that sort of, and it's cool and it's nice and it definitely is helpful to keep going. But like I also think like if you can't keep going just because people aren't reassuring you that what you're doing is right, then that's also an issue that
Yeah,
you have to work out.
Right. And
totally
that's the
get it.
thing a lot of white people need to understand is like they get to be ignorant about a lot of things for a long time. And then when they finally learn, it's be patient with me. I'm just now learning and all this kind of
Yeah,
stuff. They get the
Yeah.
benefit of the doubt for that.
yeah.
Yeah.
When as a black person walking down the street, if I put my hands in my pocket, a police officer is not giving me the benefit of the doubt.
No.
So white people
not
get
at all.
the benefit of the doubt when they do bad, when they do good.
Yeah,
That's
and
just how it is. So
the other side of that is that I can make the argument that there's a good number of white people that definitely know.
yeah,
They know what's going on, and they just don't. They either, or no, really, they just don't care, right? That lady who called the cops on that guy in the park with her dog, right?
Oh my
That
God.
when she said, "I'm gonna tell them a large African American man is harassing me and is attacking me."
Weaponizing the
She
fucking
knew,
police, dude.
she
That's
knew
so
what that
fucked up.
meant. She
Yeah.
knew what that meant. She knew
right.
what that would imply. She knew that he could definitely die. She knew that, right? So when she came back with an apology, oh, I didn't understand. Now I understand. No, you knew. That's not you knew what the deal was. You understand how your power works.
And you
So
were so
now,
entitled that you were choking your dog the whole
yeah,
time and didn't
you're
even
so
notice. That's how entitled you were.
yeah, that's
to-
so entitled that she
Ugh,
was legit. Her dog had to be like, "Get off me." Her
yeah.
dog had to fight her really quick so
Oh
she could stop.
God.
Yeah. It's weird. It's weird that she was so entitled. She got angry that a guy just asked her to put a dog on a leash.
Yeah, which I, by the way, fucking hate it when people don't do that. It's like your dog.
I've been chased by a dog in my neighborhood one time.
So
He
many,
just
I've
started
had
chasing
dogs
me.
attack my dog, like, and I'm like,
Yeah.
what? Why do you think you're so cool that your dog is just like not on a leash? Like, you're so fucking stupid.
Can I also say that I easily smoked that dog? By the way, it was that
What,
dog
did
was
you-
not
you
that dog was
kick-
not having any part of me.
Wait, you beat him up or you
No, I
outran him?
ran. No,
Oh.
dang it, Jessica, I forgot. You know, Niles, you get it. You got it. You understand what I'm saying? I ran, and the dog couldn't keep up.
Ah, good.
That's what I meant.
Yeah, I feel like running from a dog is scary because they would definitely catch me. I don't run that fast. I just like
But yeah, no, it's
get away with my
I don't
feet
know.
or something.
So what's the next movement though? What's gonna happen next? Do you think the Breonna Taylor thing needs to happen next? Only one of them's getting arrested right now. There was an FBI investigation, but the FBI decided that there was nothing else to investigate, so that's done. But I think there's gonna be like 2 more investigations that are pending.
There should be also something about like the fact that the whole police report was like basically empty. It's like, well, that's just negligence. And yeah,
I didn't
they
know
were
that.
saying it showed like she had no wounds. And it's like, really?
Yeah.
It's all fucked. And I can't believe it's taking so long. But I guess I can. All right. Well, let's wrap it up and maybe leave it on somewhat of a high note. Do you guys have anything you want to promote? Okay. What, Niles?
Oh,
why'd
wait,
you
Niles,
go so quiet all of a
Did you go
sudden?
mute?
No,
No.
you're just really low.
You hear me now?
Almost.
There you go. Wait, talk
Now
now.
can you hear me?
Yes.
There we go.
Okay, sorry, I don't know what was going on. Yeah, definitely. My Venmo is at Niles Abston.
All right.
First and foremost.
I need to figure out where my Venmo is. God dang it.
Hey, nah, nigga, you had 400 years to figure it out.
You know what? You know what? I will let my brother have his Venmo on this podcast.
No, well, tell me what it is later. I'll put it in the show notes when I post.
Oh no.
When I post the pot.
This is a Black unity thing. My brother Niles deserves this Venmo dollars. Give it to him.
Yeah, that's how you know Kazeem got a real job.
No, I do have a job, but that's neither here nor
You
there.
can tell by his headset.
Yeah.
This is only $20 headset. I do use it for work though.
That's hilarious. But yeah, my Venmo is at Niles Abston. And then, check out my comedy album, Girls Don't Twerk the Jokes. I mean, if you ain't checked it out by now, you're just a hater. But
it's very funny. And it's on YouTube.
I would say download it and pay for it.
If you want to do that.
Oh, snap. Yeah, do that.
Because you can watch it for free or listen for free. But
listen, I'm Nigerian. If it's free, then I'm gonna offer that up.
Yeah, it's everywhere. Spotify, YouTube, Apple Music.
And I'm gonna put all this in the show notes too. But yeah, how about you, Kazeem?
Awesome. I have a podcast, Tough Choice with Kazeem Rahman. That's the logo right there. If you can see it, it's backwards, but you'll figure it out.
It doesn't look backwards to me. So
really,
yeah.
Oh, it looks backwards to me.
Yeah.
Huh. Well. Okay. Cool. Anyway, but yeah, Tough Choice Kazeem Rahman. Check that out. It's wherever you find podcasts. Niles has been on there before. Jessica, we have to get you on.
Hell yeah.
It's way better now, by the way. Niles, we have I have a desk now and I have sound effects. It's great.
Niggas got desk now? Okay.
Bro, look at this. This, you zoom down, see that? That's I got a little, like, whatever that is. Those are $20, but the mics are expensive.
Fancy.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's fun. It's
like
fun. It got really fun.
Cool.
That's what happens when you, well, see, it's the quarantine made me like take it more seriously.
Okay.
So,
yeah. Well, that's bonus for that.
But yeah, just listen to that, like, subscribe, share it. It's fun. It's only 30 minutes. Each episode.
They're hilarious. I've listened to many. I used to listen to them at the gym and be just like cracking up over the ridiculous comparisons and choices. But yeah, I'll put all this stuff in the show notes. And thank you guys so much for talking to me. And for the listeners, it's been Kazeem Rahman and Niles Abston. And I'm going to be recording a bunch of these. So keep listening.
Doing this, by the way.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, this is great.
Hell yeah. And I have like at least 10 people lined up. But if you have any other people that you know that would be interested in doing it, totally send them my way, even if I don't know them.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Wow, thank you, Jessica.
I'll see you
Thank you.
soon.
All right.
All right.
Bye, guys.
Bye.